Yo everybody, this is Rock with the Great, aka The Toy Bookie, and in today's video I'm coming to you with another fast, easy, and fun tutorial that everyone could jump on and everyone could do. And I also tried out some whole new techniques that I've never tried before, and guess what? Spoiler alert, they worked out. So in today's video, we are going to be teaching you how to make a water fountain. Now it could be for Mythic Legion scale, 1/12 scale, it could be bigger, you just scale it up, or it could be smaller, you scale it down. It's a very simple tutorial today. And it's all made out of scrap parts. That's the best part. It's made out of scrap parts. Not one of these was a new piece that came from a big board of foam. So this was all made out of scrap parts. Everyone could do this. It's a nice way for someone to jump into making dioramas, or if you're a pro, there might be a few techniques I did here that you could learn from. So this is something for everybody, so stay tuned and hopefully you guys enjoy, because I had a lot of fun building this. And what are we doing talking? Let's get right to it. The fun thing about these scrap projects, and maybe the hardest part about these scrap projects, is just finding your scrap parts. I keep them all in a huge bin. I have a big bin just filled with little pieces of scrap from old projects, and I try to make projects like these to use parts because I don't like throwing things out. I like to keep everything, because the cool part about these projects is, like, this foam could create anything, so why would you get rid of it? It's not like it's expensive or anything, but I just think some of the fun parts is doing a scrap build. So I just picked a bunch of big pieces out of the bin, and as you see here, I just literally wing it. I had no inspiration. I just saw some parts and then it all came together in my mind. And as you could see with the top one, I had two separate pieces together. So even if you don't have the shape you want, you could just cut together a bunch of the smaller pieces to make a bigger piece, and you could get that shape that you want. That's one of the great parts about foam. And then when you texture this and when you paint it and all that stuff later, it starts coming together and it looks cohesive. It's like magic. It really is. That's why I love working with this foam, and why I assume other diorama makers love working with this foam, because it really can turn into anything. As you saw with my Jurassic Park diorama, I made a car out of this foam. So you can make houses, cars, you can do anything with this foam if you're painting it right and you do the right things. Once I was happy with the bottom and the back part, I started doing the water fountain well area, I guess, you know, that bottom part where the water would fill up. So all I did was I don't measure anything, I just do everything by eye, and it's especially freeing when you're working with mythical or older or run down things, because you don't have to be precise. I don't like being precise. I do diorama stuff for fun, so I'm not trying to be perfect with it. And I think sometimes when it's imperfect, it also adds. Now this is the fun part. Once you have the basic shape of your fountain, this is where you add accessories. I got this dollar store toy of a tiger, and we are going to cut its head off, and we're going to put the head on the fountain, and it's going to make it look so much fancier. Now, a little tip I have is heat up the toy before you cut it, so it makes the plastic soft, so you could cut it much easier. It slices so quickly when you heat it up with the blow dryer. Now that we have the shape that we want, I didn't glue anything in place yet. We are going to start detailing the bottom piece. So the floor piece is going to get detailed first, because then when I glue everything on top of it, I don't have to try and find ways to detail the parts that have stuff glued over it. So I just started with the bottom, and I'm just going randomly and making brick indents with my pen, and then I go over them with my knife, so I make it sharper and engraved more with the knife after I get the basic shape with my pen. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect because it is old stone. This is a pretty fun, satisfying part. You want to bevel the edges. Just shave some parts down. Again, this is supposed to be stone, so like some stone is cracked, some stone is rounded, and you could just have a lot of fun with this part, and I really enjoy doing this, and it's just satisfying to just like carve some of the brick corners out, and it just, I don't know, I can't explain it. Just watch this and then just try and copy it, and you'll see in your dioramas that it makes just a little bit of a little bit makes a huge difference. Now we are making tiles for the back of the fountain. I just thought I would give it a little bit of design because I don't want it to just be plain back there. So I'm doing a little bit of square tiles, and this I just freehanded it. Basically, I just took another piece of hard foam for a ruler, and I just, I didn't measure, and I just went for it, and it worked out fine. You don't have to be super precise again with these mythical dioramas. Now this is a very important part. You're going to want to texture your rock, or else it's not going to look good when you're dry brushing and giving washes later. People use all different types. You could use a rock, and you just beat up the foam so it gets a little indents in it, and it starts making it look real and starts making it look beat up. A lot of people use tinfoil. As you can see here, I have a tinfoil ball, and I just roll it around, and you could just keep doing it. The more you do it, it starts looking nicer and nicer. I kind of rushed it with this. I could have done a little bit better. I need more tinfoil, but I did the best with what I can. But rocks also work. If you get like a sharp rock, you could just do this, and you'll see why later when we're doing washes, the paint goes right into the indents and makes it look great. Once you're happy with all your details, it's time to glue it together. Now I use just regular hot glue and with cheap hot glue sticks, nothing crazy. After I glued everything together, I realized I didn't like it just as is. I wanted to add a little bit more detail, so I took a little bit of this dollar store foam board. Now this isn't like the XPS foam that you see, that green foam we already used. This is thin poster foam board that you get at the Dollar Tree kids use for school projects and stuff. If you take the paper off, it has foam inside, and that foam works great for dioramas. So I always encourage people to get that stuff. So I wanted to just add a little bit of brick detail on this. As you see, I add some tiles places, and I think it really adds to this diorama and kind of finishes it off. When you're working with stone diorama stuff, sometimes I just make, with a pen, I just make little cracks in the stone, and it's very subtle, and when it's all painted up, just a little bit of paint gets into it, and I think it just adds a lot for something that's not so much work to do. So that's just a little tip for you guys to add to your dioramas. Now here we are. This is it. This is me trying the coffee grinds technique. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just went for it, and it worked out, and I'm very happy. So this is the coffee grinds technique. I just took some dried out. I let the coffee grinds, used ones, dry out, and I leave them to the side. I collect them all in a big bag now. All I did was take a little bit of Elmer's school PVC glue, and I just put it places, and then I just took the coffee grinds and I just smushed it into the glue to let it just like get in there, hold, and I just put it random places that there might be dirt or grass or just anything, maybe even broken pieces of the water fountain or whatever. Like, I just, little details like this, I feel like I'm going to start adding to my dioramas, and it just adds so much. Once it's all painted up and you do like details and shades and the wash gets into it, oh boy, I think I just stumbled across a new thing for me. I'm always trying to do one thing new in each diorama I do, and I'm so glad that I did this coffee grinds thing. I really think it worked great. After you have your coffee grinds in the glue areas, right? This is all I took was this dollar store spray adhesive. It's like a spray glue, and I just sprayed it on top of all of the coffee grinds that were already glued with the Elmer's glue, and this just puts a coating of glue on top of them, and it just helps, like, I feel like, bond the stuff into it. And then also it's sticky, so you could probably just use this, and I just sprayed everything and then just started throwing it at the diorama, as you see here. So not only is it's spraying the thing, so it's making the diorama sticky, and then I'm throwing the coffee grinds on top of it so they're sticking to that, and then also sealing it on top. I keep spraying it. So this is like protecting, it's sending a whole protective layer to the whole diorama also, which is great. This is a lot of fun. Just get messy with it. And I let this fully dry before we get to the next step, which is painting. So let this fully dry, and then we get to painting. Now, when it comes to painting, I did a base coat of spray paint. I don't know, I just like to do spray paint base coats. Other people, you could paint the base coat on if you'd like. I think spray painting it is so much easier, and I feel like it gives it another layer of protection, and overall, like, it sprays it overall, right? I just like that. I use 2X spray paint. That is the spray paint. I have a whole video on it, so if you're interested, go back to my channel. Now, we are getting to the fun part, dry brushing. I have a whole video on dry brushing, but I will go over it here also. Dry brushing is when you take your brush and you put a tiny bit of paint on it, not so much, and you damp it off a little bit, and it's just on there very barely, and you lightly drag it across your project, and it goes to all the raised areas, right? So that's why we were using tinfoil to make engravings in this thing. So when we dry brush, it just reaches the top parts. Now, when you're dry brushing, you want to start with the darker color first. So I did darker gray, and then we're going to dry brush again after this, and we're going to do a lighter gray. And then you just keep going up from there. So if you're going to do a gray dry brush, you're going to do dark gray, light gray, and then maybe even white in some areas for the highlight and the details. And don't worry if you mess this up or you go too bright, because the next step after this is washing, giving it washes, black washes, and stuff like that. So the wash usually dulls the paint a little bit, and it helps cover up any mistakes you might have made. Now, once your base dry brushes down, this was what I was so excited about. Now, I wanted to see how my coffee grinds were going to look. Now, everything dried, and the coffee grinds gave a nice bumped raised layer in some areas. And all I did was I took a bunch of yellows, I took some greens, and I took some oranges and some browns, and I just tried to dampen the raised areas to make it look like little grass was growing, moss was growing, and I was so pleased with how this came out. Now, if you wanted something for a dirt look, you would take a dark brown and you would, do the same thing I'm doing right here, lightly brush it on top of the raised parts, and it would look like little dirt things there. But I wanted to go for a little moss or overgrown, weeds are growing through it, and I can't believe how this came out. I love it so much. I love all the little details. It just really, now this is what I'm gonna do from now on. Alright, we are on the last step of today's video, the black wash. Now, black wash, I have a whole video on it, but we will go over it a little bit here. It's where you take a watered down color, usually a black or a brown, and you're going to want to make sure it's got a lot of water and it's just a little tint of whatever color you want. And we're going to just go over the diorama in the places where it would have like water seeped in and it would make it like discolored and stuff, and you're just going to want to wash. It goes into all the little tiny crevices, and it just makes it gives it that realistic, like as you see right here, it gives it that realistic look. The water pools in the places where, it would pool in real life, and it's just like, it just adds that realism and realistic. I can't explain why it works, it just works. So you just want to take your watered down paint and you're just going to lightly go over your project. You could always add more, so start light. What I like to do is I keep old paint bottles and I just fill them with water when they reach the bottom, so it kind of makes a wash for me already. But you could just either put a little piece of paint on a thing and just water it down a lot with some water, and then just dab your brush, and it just... Black washing takes a little bit of time to understand it. Once you understand it, you just do it naturally. So one of the cool things is, see, it gets into all the crevices and it makes all the details you did on your diorama pop. So that's why black washing is so important. It gets into all these little grains. It makes the grass look more realistic because the grass isn't so bright anymore. But it doesn't dull it completely. It gets into all those little... It makes all the stones pop to make that like they look individual. This is one of the funnest things to do also. So I love black washing, and it's very vital to your project. Now, we are pretty much done. You're going to, after you black wash to wherever you like, we're going to let this fully dry. And then we are pretty much done, boys. Okay, so here we are, and I have to say we are finished. I am finished for now, at least. I got everything I wanted out of this project. I wanted to see how fast I could do a project within a day. I wanted to see the coffee grinds technique, which I love. I am so happy that I figured that one out. I drink so much coffee. Speaking of coffee, I need one right now. I literally just woke up and I'm working. I have a weird schedule because of all this stuff. So I go through coffee grinds like crazy, and I was throwing them out. I said, there has to be something. I am a tutorial maker. I am a craft guy. I am a diorama maker. There has to be something I could use all these coffee grinds in, something diorama related. And I am so glad when you have an idea and the project works. It works exactly how you thought it was going to work. I'm super excited. We are going to be taking a close-up on this, but I just wanted to get some stuff out of the way first. I'm really happy. This thing was built in literally super quick. Anyone could do this. I've been wanting to make a water fountain. I was inspired by a lot of miniature, like Dungeons and Dragons style stuff. They always do water fountains. Skyrim always has water fountains, stuff like that. And I thought a water fountain is what I should be doing for my Mythic Legions scale figures. So this is a Mythic Legions orc. It's a basic size for Mythic Legions, and I think it came out great. Just to show the scale, it's about the same size as one of these Mythic Legions. Very happy with how this came out, especially for the amount of time and effort I put into it. I think it looks really good. And it's not finished, so there will be probably more videos on this tutorial where I might add water. I think I'm going to do a whole video where I add water, because that's something I've never done. So I want to experiment that, and I want it to have its own video. We'll look at some details, and then we are done with today's video. It's long enough. So this is that dollar store toy, and I'm so glad it cut really easy because I heated it up. I heated it up? I don't know. That doesn't sound right, but correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it worked out perfectly. I love when you're not sure about something and it just works out perfectly. Look at that. Those details on this one are really what got me. So nice. I'm really happy. Especially, guys, I can't stress the amount of effort that was put into this. I'm always trying to see how far I could push things. Like how far I could put a little bit of effort to make it go a long way, and that's the feedback I get on my videos are exactly that. You guys understand that, and I appreciate that you guys understand that, because that's what I'm trying to convey with this. I want to show people you don't have to be amazing at art. You could try these and it will come out good if you just put a little bit of effort into it. You don't have to put even a lot of bit of effort to make something look really good. And I'm just I'm just gushing over it, because I think for how quick this was to build, this was a scrap build. This is all scrap parts. I didn't use one new piece of foam. This is all scrap parts. As you can see, look, I even put a piece of foam together to make this big one. But that's what's cool about mythical builds, is like, back then, I'm sure they just used parts they had around, and everything adds to it. Everything looks lived in. Like, this just looks like a crack in the stone, which is great, because there would be a crack in the stone. And, you know, like, with mythical stuff, it's cool, because it just could be anything. Instead of, like, say you're doing a hotel wall or something, it has to look a certain way. So I'm really happy how this turned out, and I think we're going to end it here, because I could just keep talking about this thing. I love it. I just keep looking at it. Like, I have pictures of the close-ups on my phone, and I just keep looking at it like, this worked. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Rocker the Great, aka the Toy Bookie, and I want to thank all my Patreon members. You guys rock. You guys help me support this channel. All the money I make on that helps bring multiple videos a week instead of just one. A lot of YouTubers do one video a week. I try to do multiple. I try to almost do one every day. So I'm glad you guys support them and appreciate that. If anyone wants to join my Patreon, down below is my link. Definitely join if you want, or just super chat me when we do lives and stuff like that to help support the channel. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. This was Rocker the Great, aka the Toy Bookie. I hope you found something interesting in this, and I hope you build something today, because life's short. Let's build. Stay great, guys. Peace.